Hey everybody, my name is Lowell and welcome to the channel. So we have a reaction video for us today. This is going to be 1990s biggest failures. So let's jump in and let's have a look at this one.
Many of the products that came out in the 1990s were great during the decade, but as...
Oh, remember those pump-up Reeboks? Even I had a pair of them. And I think they broke after about a month or so. They never worked once you start pumping them, you know.
Many of the products that came out in the 1990s were great during the decade, but as time moved on, we slowly moved away from them. Some of the products were huge failures. Perhaps you've forgotten about them, so in this video, we will revisit some of the 1990s biggest failures.
All right.
Quite possibly the weirdest idea of the decade was Crystal Pepsi, which was introduced in April of 1992. Pepsi felt like people were becoming more health conscious, so they wanted to offer a clean and modern option. Crystal Pepsi was clear, but it had a soda flavor. They were hopeful that this would be the soda of the future. But the problem was it confused people.
Yep.
The drink did not exactly taste like Pepsi, and the see-through appearance made consumers think that it was flavorless. This soda was clearly not the drink of the future, and it quietly disappeared within 2 years.
It's obviously one of these gimmick things, you know. I've seen ketchup or tomato sauce, as we call it here, green and purple. It just doesn't look right, and it just does something with your mind. It's just like, nah, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. It's not right.
Soda was clearly not the drink of the future, and it quietly disappeared within 2 years. Crystal Pepsi made a short-lived comeback in 2016, but even then, it was still a disaster.
No.
Long before we had the iPhone, Apple tried to get us hooked on a clunky little gadget called the Newton.
Oh.
This was a personal data assistant, or PDA, that was supposed to replace your calendar, notepad, and maybe even your computer. This device could take notes, store contacts, and even recognize handwriting. At least that was the promise when it came out in August of...
I've never heard of that before. Newton? I've never heard of that. Do we have that in Australia? I don't know. I've never heard of it.
And even recognize handwriting. At least that was the promise when it came out in August of 1993. At the time, it was a little expensive with a $700 price tag, and people weren't really ready for it.
Yikes.
Apple kept pushing the Newton until they pulled the plug on it in 1998.
Oh, wow.
However, this little device helped pave the way for iPhones and iPads later on down the road.
Damn.
In the 1980s, Michael Jordan came out with his own unique style of shoes thanks to the help of Nike. They were hugely successful and still are.
Yep.
These shoes pretty well took over the market for both basketball and everyday wear.
I had a pair of, I think they were Air Jordan 4s? I think that, man, I kept them crisp, kept them in a box, didn't wear them, didn't want to get them dirty, scuffed up. And when I went to wear them, I'd actually grown out of them, and it's just like, damn, I couldn't even get to wear them. I remember those. Damn, I love those shoes. Didn't even get to wear them.
These shoes pretty well took over the market for both basketball and everyday wear. Right at the tail end of the 80s, Reebok had an answer, or so they thought.
Yep.
In November of 1989, they came out with the Reebok Pumps.
Yep.
But it was really the 1990s when this shoe came on strong, thanks to the help of a basketball player named Dominique Wilkins. No other shoe had ever done anything like it before. If you needed your shoe a little bit tighter, all you had to do was pump it up. At the time, every kid wanted a pair of these. The problem was they retailed for $170, which was significantly more than a new pair of Jordans at $125. And even the price of a pair of Jordans was expensive. Eventually, the novelty of this pump feature sort of fell out of popularity, and tons of these shoes were just sitting on store shelves. Reebok discontinued the pumps around 1994. Since that time, Reebok has released a few retro editions, but they have not been met with as much popularity as they had in the early 90s. If we learned anything about Nintendo in the 80s, it's that they weren't afraid to try something new. In 1995, they came out with the Virtual Boy.
I've Never seen that either. Virtual Boy for Nintendo? Huh. Obviously very early VR. Okay.
Something new.
Huh.
In 1995, they came out with the Virtual Boy. This tabletop portable video game console was Nintendo's attempt at virtual reality before VR was even a thing. Players would look into a red-tinted headset and played games in a strange 3D format. But the graphics were not ideal. They were clunky and had a red and white black color scheme that gave people headaches, and the system was uncomfortable to use. This system sold for $179, which did not help Nintendo. Not only that, but they only released a handful of games.
Oh, okay.
This was such a flop that Nintendo discontinued the Virtual Boy just 6 months after its release.
Ooh.
It became one.
That's probably why I've never seen it. They obviously didn't come to Australia because I've never heard of that before.
Continued the Virtual Boy just 6 months after its release.
Yikes.
It became one of the biggest failures in gaming history, but Nintendo was thinking a little ahead of their time. Pepsi was not the only company that felt people were becoming more health conscious in the 90s. Coors Brewing Company came out with a non-alcoholic sparkling water in January of 1990. They featured flavors like cherry and lemon lime, and they used the same Rocky Mountain water that they used in their beer. However, this attempt by Coors suffered poor sales, and it was discontinued in 1997.
Oh, wow, okay.
Orbitz was a non-carbonated fruit-flavored beverage that was introduced by Clearly Canadian in 1996. The drink had a total of 5 different flavors, and it had small edible fruit-flavored jelly beads on the inside. It was marketed as a texturally enhanced beverage, but many consumers thought it resembled a lava lamp.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It looks like a lava lamp. I've never heard of it before. You'd kind of be put off a little bit. It's like, no, I don't think I want to drink that.
Texturally enhanced beverage, but many consumers thought it resembled a lava lamp.
Yep.
Some people liked it, but no one seemed to love it. The drink was discontinued in 1999.
Okay.
In November of 1992, Sony introduced the MiniDisc with the hopes of replacing the cassette tape and CDs. The MiniDisc allowed users to record and re-record without losing quality. The disc was smaller and it was more durable because it was housed in a cartridge, which made them a better option than CDs. But the problem was CDs were getting cheaper and it became difficult for MiniDisc to compete. Ultimately, it was the MP3 format that started coming on strong, and it stole the show from everything. Sony ceased player manufacturing in 2013 and ended the production of the blank disc in early 2025.
I've never heard of that, the mini disc. Man, I don't know if we missed out on a lot of stuff here in Australia, or I just went straight to the Walkman with the CD in it. Which used to skip all the time, bloody piece of crap. But yeah, I've never seen the mini disc one. That's interesting. Okay.
In 2013 and ended the production of the blank disc in early 2025.
I've never
Microsoft
seen that.
Bob was a software product that was intended to provide a more user-friendly interface for Windows operating systems. The program was released in March of 1995 and it was discontinued in early 1996. It came around just as the internet was really starting to take off, but sales were lower than expected. When most people think of Windows interface assistants, they probably think of Clippy.
Yep. I've never seen that. I've never heard of that Microsoft one either. Damn, there's a lot of stuff in the 90s that I must have missed out on. What the?
Assistants, they
Clippy,
probably think of Clippy.
Yep. Dang.
In 1996, McDonald's officially released the Arch Deluxe with one of the most expensive advertising campaigns to date.
Wow.
However, customers were not exactly happy with the higher price of the burger and the higher calorie content. By 1998 and 1999, it was only being sold at a select few restaurants. In August of 2000, the Arch Deluxe was officially discontinued.
Do you know, we got McDonald's here, Macca's here. We get a lot of different stuff, you know, from the menu in America to Australia. I've never heard of that before. Never heard of that. Okay.
In August of 2000, the Arch Deluxe was officially discontinued.
Never heard of it.
Harley-Davidson is one of the most successful motorcycle companies out there. They have been around since the early 1900s. Lots of people not only buy their motorcycles, but wear their hats, shirts, and jackets, so the company thought that they could expand on that. In 1994, they launched their own fragrance with the help of L'Oreal. It was meant to be the scent of freedom, but this new cologne made even the die-hard Harley riders scratch their head. Needless to say, it didn't last long, and it was a big failure.
Dang.
It was discontinued in 1997.
What is the scent of freedom? What kind of scent is that? Fresh air? Wildflowers? I don't know what the scent of freedom is, but anyway.
Failure. It was discontinued in 1997. The interesting thing about that failure is they did not give up. They pushed several other colognes and fragrances until 2005.
Okay. Dang.
GLH 9, or Great Looking Hair Formula Number 9, was a 90s spray-on hair product.
Oh my God. I remember late night TV, you'd watch this and go, what? Is he spraying on his hair? I remember, God, I must remember the ad too. It's something and it sticks on the very, very fine hair that's there. Even though you look bald, there's very, very fine hair. And it used to stick on that. That's crazy. I remember that. Late night TV.
GLH9, or Great Looking Hair Formula Number 9, was a 90s spray-on hair product that was marketed towards balding men, although women could use it too. This aerosol spray was released by Ronco, and it was all over the place on television infomercials.
Yep.
It used colored powder particles to cover thinning areas and to fill in bald spots. It was supposed to be instant and waterproof. The company sold over 500,000 cans, but it was not something that made it out of the decade. Its popularity quickly faded, and they moved on to the next balding product.
No, I do not use that product myself.
Lay's Wow Chips were first introduced in 1998. They were produced by Frito-Lay, and they were a fat-free potato chip.
Oh.
Initially, they were popular and they sold well, but it wasn't long before consumers discovered the real wow. Abdominal cramping, diarrhea, fecal incontinence, and other gastrointestinal.
Oh my God. Oh my God. We don't get Lay's here. I think I've never seen it. I used to have Costco membership. I think that's the only place I've ever seen Lay's. There's not in our store. I'm trying to think if it's in Coles, which is our big supermarket. We don't get Lay's. But now I'll definitely stick away from the wow. Oh no.
Abdominal cramping, diarrhea, fecal incontinence, and other gastrointestinal symptoms. They included a warning label on each bag that they sold, stating the issue with the ingredient olestra. The product was definitely not something that people wanted to run with, and it's not something that you'll see on store shelves today.
Oh.
Before Bluetooth became a thing, people always wondered how they could have a hands-free option. Sure, there were speakerphones, but what if...
Oh my God. What the hell is that? Is that a headband with a telephone?
Wondered how they could have a hands-free option. Sure, there were speakerphones, but what if you didn't want everyone to hear the other person on the line?
God.
The phone relief was a product that came out in the early 90s, and it gave people the ability to have their hands free. It was designed for landlines, and you could fasten your phone's handset to the headband and wear it on your head. This product sold well, but the popularity soon faded when technology moved on.
Oh my God, I've never seen, that would be something I would use. That's great.
It soon faded when technology moved on.
What?
If you were lucky enough to experience the 90s firsthand, then you certainly understand how special it was.
It's special,
It was a creative decade, and we caught some glimpses of how technology would lead us into the future. However, the decade was full of failures, and there are a lot more that we did not cover. Can you think of any more? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.
Oh my God. Some of them I remember. Some of them I remember very, very well. Like the shoes, the Reebok Pump. I remember having a pair of them. And obviously on the flip side of that, having a pair of Jordans as well. I don't know that Nintendo, never heard of that before. I never heard of that Newton as well, the pad, the PDA. But you can imagine, obviously from that, we have, iPhone and everything. So maybe that needed to be made so we can have what we have now. But some of those things you just think, why? The headphone with the telephone, I can understand that. That's a pretty good product. That's a pretty good product for the time in the 90s where, if you had the hands-free, it let you actually be hands-free too. So that was a pretty good product. But some of them was pretty crazy. The 90s, following on from the 80s, we got a little bit more technology. We had to innovate stuff pretty quickly as well. It was moving pretty quick. So, but yeah, some of them I remember distinctly, and some of them are brand new to me that I've never heard of, which is we obviously missed out on a lot of stuff here in Australia, and thank God we missed out on Wow chips. They don't sound good at all. They don't sound good at all. Let me know if you remember them. Let me know if you ever ate any of those Wow Lay's chips. I want to see what they taste like. So, guys, thank you very much for joining me today. Make sure you stay safe, and I'll definitely see you in the next reaction video. Oh, you're still here? You want more content? Why don't you check out my Patreon down here? You'll get plenty more content and some exclusive videos over there too. If not, why not check out this one over here?